The NFC West has a competitive 4 starting quarterback race to the top. Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, and now Sam Darnold. We'll rank these guys coming up next. Welcome back to the Scouting Room NFL podcast with Dame and Dan. I'm Dame. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report and the host of the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. That's my guy, Dan. Also, matter of fact, not even just also, Dan, congratulations first. So this is the first show since you announced that you are joining the Bleacher Report scouting team. Yes, guys, Dan is over here with me at Bleacher Report. We are working together as God intended it to be. So he will be covering corners, safeties, and tight ends. And as you know, he is also an NFL draft analyst with RGR Football. Dan, again, congrats, brother. How are we feeling?
Dude, I'm feeling great. Like it's cool to get the recognition, right? And I appreciate that from you as well as Bleacher Report. I'm excited to start the journey there. Again, if you would have told me I'd be doing this like 5-6 years ago, I wouldn't believe you, right? Like I was in the military a long time ago now. It's been forever since I was in the military. So, and then you get out, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life. And well, guess what? NFL film and college football now is in the forefront, which is a crazy thing to get to. And we are all talking today about the NFC West quarterbacks. This is one of the things that I'm looking forward to so much. You and I have talked about these guys before we started doing this show, like a year ago. And now we get into these guys and really dive into what is about them and why some of them are so divisive in Twitter and for national media and stuff like that.
Man, you talk about divisive, then that's the right segue right into Sam Darnold, the new starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. And Sam is coming off his best, a career year, right? He completed 66% of his passes, 35 passing touchdowns, 12 interceptions, over 4,300 yards passing for the Minnesota Vikings. He had a passer rating of 102.5. His best before that was in the 6 games he started before he got hurt with the Panthers, where he threw 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and his passer rating was 92.6. Right? This is a guy who completion percentage over expectation plus 3.2%. EPA was plus 26.3. So he played outstanding football in a very, very good situation. And I always say this when people ask me who was one of my favorite head coaches in the league, it is Kevin O'Connell with the Minnesota Vikings. And it's for the simple fact of not just being an offensive-minded coach and being that guy that can scheme and devise and create a game plan that will stress defenses, but then there's also the fact that he's a player's coach and knows how to motivate his guys. Like, for example, on College Football 26, one of the archetypes for a coach in Dynasty is motivator. And being able to, and he's both. He's an architect with the offense, and Kevin O'Connell is a motivator. So you talking about being able to instill the confidence in a guy that has lacked confidence since he got to the league. Shout out to the New York Jets for ruining it. Right? Like, it just is what it is, Dan. So Kevin O'Connell and that Sam Darnold marriage last year was nearly perfect. And to the point where it had some people, as ridiculous as it was to me, maybe they should sign Sam Darnold and shop J.J. McCarthy. I'm like, what? Time out. We just spent a top, 12 pick on this kid? I'm not shopping him for 1 year of Sam Darnold. But Dan, when we watched the film on Sam Darnold, the one thing me and you texted about was his confidence, right? And the arm talent and his ability to just rip throws. When he sees it, when he trusts it, he gets it there, Dan. He gets it there in a hurry.
Yeah, I love what he's able to do. And it's not, he never had a neglection of physical talent. He always had the physical tools, and that's why he was drafted by the Jets, like inside the top 5 when he came out of USC. Like, it was all about the talent and the traits that he possessed. But when you looked at what he was unable to do, everyone goes back to the game where he's playing against the New England Patriots, where he's seeing ghosts out there. Oh, yeah. Right? That is the thing on Monday Night Football, where he on the sideline says, I'm seeing ghosts. Because, one, when you don't trust yourself, not only because the organization has done nothing but screw up and not put protection in front of you and really just do nothing but a disservice to the development of you, you second guess everything that they're asking you to do and everything you're seeing because you don't have the mental stability and the that foundation to be able to go through your progressions and trust what you're seeing. We saw that shift. Really, I think it happened a little bit with Carolina Panthers when he got away from the Jets. You saw the confidence start to come back. Now, when you're that deep into your NFL career, you're still learning for him how to figure out what defenses are showing you, right? You're still trying to figure those things out. So when it was an easy concept, when it's 1-2 throw, right, he can check down, things like that. It looks great. But the confidence stuff this year, you saw him go through progressions multiple times. You do still see him fighting the ghosts. Like, you see it?
Yeah.
You see him kind of do this a lot. When he's going through, he's like, I want to throw it. I want to throw it. I want to throw it. You see that multiple times. But I think Kevin O'Connell kind of coached some of it out. He's not going to get all of it out because
he kind of kept them even keel, kind of calm throughout the season.
Yeah, a little bit here and there. You started to see against the Green Bay Packers, you saw a couple times where they dropped defensive ends into coverage spots, and he was trying to get through his reads. Pressure got to him. Honestly, he was more mobile getting in and out of pressure than I expected to see as well for him. So you like to see some of that. I'm a little worried specifically about going now over to the Seattle Seahawks. We don't know how Clint Kubiak is going to be with Sam Darnold. We know it's a defensive-minded head coach, and that's one of the things what I loved about with Kevin O'Connell is that he is one of the few offensive minds and offensive coordinators that has taken the reins of a team as a head coach and succeeded in both being that head coach as well as the offensive coordinator, because we know he's calling plays. He's doing all of it himself. It's not easy to transition for anybody. So that got the confidence off the table, but also the improved pocket presence. That's not just confidence, it's understanding the feel. And we just watched the Minnesota Vikings go out and pay a bunch of money for new guards. Obviously, they draft Donovan Jackson in the first round. They are looking to completely shift what they're doing in the interior offensive line. And Sam Darnold played behind that offensive line all year last year and then lost their all-pro left tackle, and in my opinion, all-pro, Christian Darrisaw.
Yeah, for sure.
He was doing all that behind an offensive line that didn't really honestly have the talent to meet up for that. So, honestly, I was very impressed with Sam Darnold, just the growth from the last couple of seasons. I'm not here to say he's a great quarterback because I think he can make some really great throws. I think he showed a couple of times the willingness to stay in the pocket, go through his progressions. The problem comes when that pressure does hit and he can't get out of the pocket, and then he starts short-circuiting. Yep. When the short circuit comes, it comes full circle for Sam Darnold. You saw that multiple times where he's just, I'm fighting, and he can't get over that hump for him. So when he's confident, he plays extremely well. When he starts getting in his own head, that's where New York Jets Sam Darnold really starts to come into play.
100%. I think that's the thing, right? The consistency under pressure, like I said, the confidence, and it's not even just the pressure, though, Dan. And you tell me if I'm wrong about this. When I'm watching him, it's not just the pressure; it's when he starts to get touched, when he's hit in the pocket. That's where you start to see that confidence dip, the body language, the everything. It just goes out the window. And you're like, because like, for example, he destroyed the blitz last year, right? He destroyed the blitz last year. Against the blitz, per NFL Pro, in 17 games, he completed 69% of his passes, completion percentage over expectation of plus 8.3. EPA was plus 10.4, right? His time to throw was about 2.96. I think he averages around like about 3 seconds in the pocket because he holds onto the ball a little bit. But even with like getting pressured and sacked on those against the blitz, he was 14. His touchdown to interception ratio, 14 touchdowns to 1 interception, passer rating of 128.3, average 9 yards per attempt for 1,261 passing yards. He absolutely annihilated the blitz last year, and that you love that. The play action off the zone run game. That's why I think the Clint Kubiak situation should play out well, because they're going to run that stretch zone, the wide zone stuff, that Kubiak type of scheme, so where, okay, and they have talented running backs in Seattle. They might have a little bit too many talented running backs in Seattle. They got a lot of them, right? They keep drafting them, but they got Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, Kenny McIntosh from Georgia a couple years ago, and then they just drafted one of the guys that we really liked, that we truthfully, I felt like he should have went back to school in the first place, but he didn't. He went in the 7th round, Damian Martinez. And so they have like really 4 good young running backs. They're going to run the ball, right? They drafted Elijah Arroyo to be that tight end 2 with Noah Fant. Why I think this can work is Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think it's the next true star pass catcher that we're about to see unfold in the league. You brought in Cooper Kupp and everything. So like Torrey Holton, I think is his name, from Colorado State, the explosive, speedy wide receiver. Everybody remembers him from the 2023 late night game that went into like triple overtime, whatever it was, or double overtime against Colorado, where like that was the game Travis Hunter got knocked out of the game from the dirty hit. And Torrey Horton, not Holton. Horton was cooking. without Travis Hunter, he cooked Colorado's secondary, but he brings speed, route running, all of that. So I think with this offense, we could see Sam Darnold play at a really good level. But again, it goes back to what you said, the protection. They brought in Gray Zabel. They got to figure out, they got Charles Cross healthy. He's going to get the long-term deal. Abraham Lucas, who's a right tackle, was out most of last year, I believe. So him coming back healthy will be a big thing for them, to where you have both tackles. Now, I always say this, when you have 2 young tackles or 2 bookend tackles, it allows your interior, that trio, right? That trio to be able to, okay, who do we need to double? Center guard tandem on either side. Center left guard, double team that zero tech or that one tech. Zero right guard, you double team that 2-eye. Whatever it is, you can find the right matchup and leave the right guy one-on-one and give Sam Darnold time. And I think if they give him time, he should be able to get the ball to the playmakers they have. And I like what they have around him.
Yeah, I think that what we're going to see, hopefully, with Seattle, and we're a lot of projection here because we didn't get to see. We don't have a lot of useful information from Sam Darnold's career. We have last year with an elite play caller, so that's really what we're trying to build this on. And to your point about building the zone, right, with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, it has to be the groundwork, right? It has to be the groundwork of the offense, because Sam Darnold cannot carry you. And you shouldn't ask him to. No offense to Sam Darnold. You shouldn't be asking Sam Darnold to carry you offensively.
If you're asking Sam Darnold to carry you, there's a problem.
Yeah, right? I was actually surprised that their 5th-round pick from 2 years ago, Oluwatimi out of Michigan, their center, didn't start earlier. I was actually very impressed with his play at Michigan. I was much higher on him than the usual, but he is projected to start at center for him. Christian Haynes in the 2nd year has to be better. The third round pick last year, everyone was really high on him coming out of UConn, but you got to be better than you were last year, period, end of story. And honestly, I think Abraham Lucas is just fine. I think they need to find a better option at right tackle, but from left to right guard, there is a young and talented foundation there. That has to be the focal point of the development for Sam Darnold. And to your point about play action, last year, they were able to really do a ton with that, right? He threw for 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns, 3 picks on play action with 125 QB, his QB rating, right? So he was like lighting up the play action, to your point. So when you're able to do that, I think successfully, you can use boot action with him. You can get him on the move. He's still very accurate on the, on the move. I think outside the numbers is where he comes into some problems, because the ball placement for him at times will come to interceptions. I think that was one of his bugaboos last year, just from target alignment. Last year out wide, he did throw 7 of his 11 picks on targets outside the number. So just trying to contain Sam Darnold, give him a good run game, give him a play action game, and you're going to find success with him.
100%, man. Let's transition to Kyler Murray, the guy that has been polarizing in the NFC West. He got paid. He's been to one playoff, has one playoff appearance, didn't win that game. The whole old regime putting in the contract, he's got to study everything. Not Fortnite, Call of Duty, the mid-season, everybody, all the talking points, right? But Kyler Murray is a talented quarterback, right? Talented quarterback coming off a season where he threw for 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, passer rating of 93.5, 68%, almost 69% on his completion percentage, Dan. So he was able to complete the ball at a high rate, plus 2.3% on completion percentage over expectation. His EPA was good, plus 39.2. But he threw for 38 3,851 yards. He has never eclipsed 4,000 yards passing in his career. In a year, he's never done that. He did play 17 games, where like the last 2 years, 2022, I believe, is when he tore the ACL and everything, or he had the knee injury, the ACL. Then 2023, he came back the last like 8 games of the season, played well enough to give them the confidence going into the 2024 NFL draft. And I think he won some games to where they couldn't draft Caleb Williams, and they stuck around with him. And then I just think the one thing that you, of course, appreciate when it comes down to a quarterback like Kyler Murray, it is the ability to excel creating off schedule and the exciting playmaker and extender he is. He extend plays with his legs. You think about the Hail Murray against the Buffalo Bills a couple years ago, right? Where he's just scrambling, and it's always going to be a funny comparison where they say he's like a little toddler, that he's so fast and short. He's like a toddler when the toddler takes something from you and you can't catch him. And the one thing I know, listen, we both have children. You know, you have a daughter. I have 2 sons. When they're in that toddler phase and they take something that they're not supposed to have, they're like Usain Bolt, man. Like kids are like Usain Bolt in that toddler stage, and it's hard to catch him. And that's what he looks like when he's running around and doing his thing, right? And just creating off script. But it's also he excelled with the quick passing game, and I appreciate that with Kyler Murray being able to get the ball out to, and that's where the Trey McBride connection comes in. Greg Dortch, those quick hitters. The thing that he has to improve on this year, Dan, is truthfully getting the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. Trey McBride's outstanding tight end. I didn't draft you top 5. Okay, like we paid you. You're a great tight end. He's one of those. To me, he's going to be entering that. I think there was a tight end list that came out from ESPN that said that Brock Bowers is the best tight end in the league, and I'm like, it was only 1 year. I can't do that. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I can't do it. I still have George Kittle over him. If George Kittle gets the target share and the opportunities as a pass catcher, it's not a discussion. And he's a way better blocker. Brock is not blocking like defensive ends. Yeah, this guy, George Kittle, suplexing defensive end. It's a different ball game. Okay, it's a different ball game. But Brock Bowers is outstanding. Trey McBride is one of the best young tight ends too. So don't get me wrong. Your number one option needs to be Marvin Harrison Jr. You spent the draft capital, and you need to give him the ball. And that's where that connection with Kyler Murray has to get better. Connecting with Marvin Harrison Jr. And then I feel like he leaves you every year. He leaves you wanting more. And then his play dips, especially this past year, against pressure and against the blitz. And he's 5'10", 5'11", so the visually getting impaired by pressure, by free runners, and the offensive line was not good either. So I think I'm gonna say this, and it may come off as a bold claim, it may not. This is a make or break year for Kyler Murray. Because with the quarterback class that we're potentially about to see for the 2026 NFL draft, yeah, you can't go out here and your play tapers off at the end of the season after the bye week whenever they drop the new Call of Duty. Like, you can't, with all the narrative, you cannot let this happen. You can't go another year where people are questioning, which is asinine to me, to be like, oh, well, is Marvin Harrison Jr. that good? Was he really generational? Was he really better than these guys? Yes, he was. Like, you watch the film, like, he was. It's the quarterback situation, how we talk about Malik Neighbors. Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback, right? But he gave more catchable targets to Malik Neighbors than Kyler gave to Marvin Harrison Jr., especially down the field, man. So this is a make or break year, because I'll tell you right now, this regime didn't draft you. And if you don't go out here and play at a high enough level, Kyler Murray, you're going to start hearing the clock ticking, and that alarm buzzer is going to go off, and it's going to be time for you to either get traded or for them to cut you.
You know, this is an interesting dynamic, because if you even look at the way that Kyler Murray excels, for me, he excels throwing the football into the end zone. He excels with the touch throws. Mm-hmm. What is the great thing about Marvin Harrison Jr.? It's attacking the ball either at the high point or back shoulder throw. So we have to get the touch off of the football and start to throw it back shoulder. We talk a lot about this on the show that we talked about Martin Harrison Jr. You guys want to go back and hear our frustrations with that, please go ahead and do that, because that was a good show as well. But
absolutely.
When you look at the contrasting styles with which he has to play, I'm not saying he can't throw the football on a line, because he absolutely can do that.
Yes.
He's more comfortable putting touch on the football. If you watch him in the red zone, man, he is so good at putting it in the back corner, just letting his receivers run under it. There's a couple of touchdowns that I was watching. I'm just like, dude, this is so beautiful. It's exactly how you want it in the red zone. It's at 20. He's so good at that. But we have to start to dial it down now to where, all right, I have to locate this on that back shoulder. I have to let him turn to it, and then but still not let it float out of bounds. So many times you saw it just float out of bounds or die, down that way. So that's part of the conversation with the connection to the mechanics. I appreciate everything that Kyler does from a footwork in the pocket standpoint, because he resets his feet all the time. He is a jitterbug, but it's not in a bad way in my mind. It's him always trying to make sure that he can throw with the right platform. And if he can't, sometimes he will just kind of lean that shoulder back, as he's throwing it, it kind of comes back and he creates little angles for himself. So I know he's short. He does struggle to see over the middle of the field a little bit.
He's savvy.
He's super savvy. And you see that a lot of times too, where he'll just like clutch when he knows that someone's in the throwing lane. So he'll clutch it and he'll just kind of create a little room for himself. And there's a lot of actual nuance to his play that I don't think gets appreciated at all, because he's very good at getting out of the pocket and creating lanes like that and evading pressure. But inside the pocket, I think he is a much more underappreciated quarterback. But over the last few years, the offensive line has not really given him a lot of time to do so as well. So they've been trying to combat that, right? But to your point, 4 touchdowns versus 5 interceptions against pressure this past year. That's not good. It's not good enough. No. It's just not good enough. You can't do that. You have 123 attempts. You can't have four touchdowns. And I understand the weapons around you. I understand it. I think that they made a big mistake in not adding somebody else to the room there, but that's out of the question now. Okay, there's nothing else we can do about that. We can't talk about that. So, you have a completion percentage over expectation under 0. So he was not completing passes he should have under pressure as well. Negative 65.2 EPA under pressure. We're talking about some really bad stuff. And yes, extends to the play caller. It extends to the weapons. It extends to the scheme. All of that is true. But to Kyler Murray, I feel like when you talk about leaves you wanting more, it's because he puts too much of the offense on himself. He feels like he has to go out there and make every single play. Which
hero ball.
Okay. Hero ball. Yeah, you're not wrong about that. So I agree. He definitely leaves you wanting more. But I think from the footwork standpoint, in the pocket, outside the pocket, all the fundamentals, the mechanics are all there. That's why he was drafted the way where he was. And honestly, that's why they had success early on with Cliff Kingsbury and DeAndre Hopkins and the players that they had, because of the connection there. So I know that numbers are going to suggest that Kyler Murray is kind of an average quarterback. I won't disagree with what we have seen. Like you said, he does leave you wanting more. I personally believe that the basic fundamentals of quarterback play, outside of what he can't control, his height, are all there for him to be a really good quarterback. But we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's going into his 7th year. Like you said, it's time. Get me over 4,000 yards. Get me over 25 touchdowns this year, and maybe we'll have a conversation.
Yeah, I think the big thing for him, man, because we talked about it when you look at just air yards, right? And how in the intermediate with Bryce Young, and Bryce Young is another short quarterback, right? Bryce Young was abysmal throwing in the intermediate parts of the field. Like I think he had more interceptions than touchdowns. Kyler was good. You know what I mean? He completed almost 56.5% of his passes, 6 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. EPA was plus 34.8, right? Completion percentage was plus 3.9%, throwing in the intermediate. The other place he needs to improve, and typically throughout his career, like especially when they had like D-Hop and Hollywood Brown, He was great throwing the ball down the field. Colin was that quarterback when he came to the line of scrimmage early in his career when he had the weapons, the vertical weapons. He would come to the line of scrimmage, see single high, and say, okay, great. I know exactly. Or if he sees single high, it's not just, okay, middle of the field close. It's, oh, you're on that left hash because Cliff Kingsbury never moves his receivers around. So it's DeAndre Hopkins on the left side of the offense. So they shade to DeAndre Hopkins. Want to take D-Hop away. He sees that one-on-one on the opposite side, and he's taking that. And he throws, like you said, with that touch, the ball placement, it's always been there for him last year. And some of it's due to, again, weapons and protection. Not having a true explosive receiver. When Hollywood Brown hit free agency, or he was still like after the 1 year deal with your Chiefs, if I'm Arizona, I'm calling him back to Arizona. Like, I'm bringing him back on a 1 year deal because we need that speed to pair with the Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, Christian Kirk. Like, maybe this is a team that we look at and it's like we get to week 10 or whenever the trade deadline is, and they are 3-4 games above 500, and they were like one of the top teams in the NFC. And he's like, you know what? Maybe they make the move and try and go get a disgruntled wide receiver to pair with Marvin Harrison. They need some speed, and I think that's going to be a big thing. But Kyler Murray, talented dude, like I said, he leaves me wanting more because I know there's another level he can reach with his ceiling. He's just got to hit it. And if he hits it, this is an offense that's going to be very difficult to stop because of his playmaking ability, his arm talent, his ball placement down the field. And like you talk about, just the pocket nuance, because again, unlike a Russell Wilson, he doesn't mind throwing in the middle of the field. He doesn't mind hitting the intermediate passes, and he does it at a good clip. So he's got to, we want to see him take that next step because we believe in Kyler Murray. I got a picture of him to my right, Dan. Like he was one of my favorite college quarterbacks coming in the draft. Love Kyler Murray. Want to see him take that next step. And the team has to continue to do some things, but he's got to take some onus and really play just smarter football consistently. But he's talking about got to play smart football, Dan. San Francisco 49ers got themselves their franchise quarterback, and they paid him well. Let's talk about Brock Purdy, man. The Mr. Irrelevant from the draft, seventh round pick, the last pick of the draft and everything, and picked 262 in 2022, right? And he's coming off of a season where the year he's coming off, you would question like, oh, okay, is this the type of year that you would pay a guy? But it's the 2 year run he's had. 2023, we know how great he was and how good he looked in 2023. Everybody was healthy, all of it. He was outstanding, right? Like he had, for example, guys, his EPA in 2023 was plus 115.6. Like that's just how good Brock Purdy was as a player, right? And listen, Dan, you know me personally. A lot of people know that I'm not the biggest. Brock Purdy is not my type of quarterback. Because physically there's just a lot of limitations to him, but he's an intelligent guy. He works well within the system. He's coming off a season last year, 3,864 yards passing, 20 passing touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Don't like the touchdown to interception ratio. Passer rating of 96. He had 66%. He completed 66% of his passes. He had an EPA still in the plus of 67.9, so 68 on plus 68. And his completion percentage over expectation, plus 2%. And, so we appreciate what Brock Purdy does. The thing about it, he's a zone coverage savant. This is a guy that if he sees zone, he is lighting you up. Like, you got to get back there because one thing he does so well is the feel for space and the pockets in the coverage. So you playing cover 3 and you got guys dropping to their spots in zone. He's very good at beating the person with the ball. Anticipatory throws, right? He's successful last year against the blitz. So when you think about those type of things last year, now granted, he did have 6 interceptions against the blitz, but he threw 9 touchdowns, had a passer rating of 104. Completion percentage was plus 4.7. EPA was plus 22.8. So he's good against the blitz. He does not hold the football long. Right, like it was a little bit higher in 2024 than 2023. Dan, 2023 was 2.88. 2024 jumped to 2.93. So he was holding on the ball a little bit more, trying to to create more, because he is a good enough athlete to use his legs and everything. Consistent ball placement. The arm talent and strength is a big concern for me, because that's when we talk about it, and feel like we've been talking about it for the last 2 years with him, just us, just talking on our own. And it's the outside the number throws, it's the downfield throws, it's those drive throws into tighter coverages. That's not really where he excels.
No, you're right. And I think what we've seen from Brock Purdy this last year is that the ownness for the offense came up to him a little bit more. And this is the numbers that we're seeing. I'm not saying it was a bad year at all, but when he's forced to do more from a tight window percentage, just to give you an insight, 12.8% of the time in 2023, he threw into tight windows. And the average separations for his targets were 3.5 yards. This past year, average separation dropped to 3.1, and the tight window throw went up to nearly 18%. So he was more willing to throw the football into tight windows down the field to his targets and playmakers last year. Okay, that's fine. I'm totally okay with that. There was a lot of growth from him from 2022 to 2024. A lot of individual growth for him, not just within the offense, but his willingness to do more in the offense. That's great. You want to see that. The problem, to your point, is I went back and I watched those interceptions against the blitz. 2 of them were because he could not drive the football into a window. They get deflected into air and they get picked off. Yep. That's the big problem, because you have tighter windows that close faster when you don't have the arm strength to put it in there over the middle of the field where he wants to excel. Now, there's going to be times that everyone makes a throw. There's a throw that he had against Seattle that might have been his best throw. That was a tight window to the right side to the hash to George Kittle for a touchdown. It was amazing. I put it on my Twitter. It's on my Blue Sky. It's a fantastic throw. Those are few and far in between, because not only does it take the anticipation to be able to do it, he has to have time to step into it perfectly. He has to be able to step into it perfectly. He does not have the talent to off-platform throw into a window. He just doesn't have that. Now, I will say, pocket presence has gotten a lot better. The ability to be mobile outside the pocket, make guys miss, has also gotten better as he's grown inside the pocket, right, in his offensive line and the system. So there's a lot of growth. I give him a lot of props. The physical limitations and the slight frame, I'm a little concerned about. And the inability for the San Francisco 49ers to say, hey, we should probably draft some more offensive linemen. I love Trent Williams, but he's getting old now. He's getting old now, and injuries prop up. You had to start Jalen Moore 5 times last year. And I'm, as someone now who's had to watch extensively Jalen Moore as a Chiefs fan and breakdown of his game, I'm not saying he was great. I'm not saying he was bad either. He was fine. Yeah. But there were problems if you don't have perfect protection. So just for the presence of mind, we know he's going to be good against the blitz, like you talked about, with the ability to identify space and exploit it. My biggest problem with everything that he does well is that he will not lead guys into space. He also creates tight window throws by throwing behind receivers and forcing them to make a very good catch. I've seen things about Brock Purdy on Twitter about how he was not carried by his playmakers. You put any game on. There is 5 or 6 times where he has to get bailed out because the throw drops to the ground, it's behind the receiver, or it just floats and they have to go make a play. So let's not get too hasty with saying that Brock Purdy is a perfect quarterback and saying that he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. I give him a ton of credit for getting better. And again, for taking that chip on his shoulder for being the last player drafted, not even just the last quarterback, the last player drafted in his class, and consistently getting better, putting in the work to get better. And honestly, he's placed that maximizes his skills and talent. Football IQ, anticipation throws, work in the pocket. All those things translate to the NFL and they find success. When you switch to man coverage and you blitz him, he struggles. That's just a fact.
No, and I think that's going to be, again, our tools, everything, right? Like we're watching the probably the last year of Anthony Richardson if he doesn't take back the starting job after dealing with the shoulder injury again, or the shoulder soreness and fatigue from training and all that type of stuff, where he left OTAs early, and retake that job back from Daniel Jones, or take it during the season when Daniel Jones starts to play poorly, as we know he will, like if he doesn't take it back and then like lead this team to a playoff run or gets them very close to it to buy himself that one more year, like we're going to be talking about another quarterback in Indianapolis, right? So yes, the tools aren't everything. You have to have some polish to your game. And Brock Purdy has that polish, right? Like the accuracy, the placement when he's on, the anticipatory throws, how to beat zone coverages, things of that. He brings all of that, man. But to the point of, and we've seen it in multiple games that they've lost, when you got to drive the throw. Like again, he's in the NFC West, so it's like you don't get a ton of bad weather games because you got Seattle, but like. Typically in San Fran, you're fine. It's sunny skies, blue skies, all that type of stuff. Arizona, like they either come to sunny San Francisco or it's a dome, right? So, and the Rams are also in a dome. So, like you play what two of your divisional games are in domes, and the half of them are at your house. So, like you don't deal with all the swirling. If he is in New York, they talked about, man. I don't know if Shador Sanders can last if he went to the New York Giants because in their MetLife Stadium, they have this weird swirl of wind when they have wind because of how the stadium is built. Can you deal with 15-mile-per-hour winds swirling around in that stadium when you got to drive the ball on 3rd and 15 into a tight window against man coverage? Him and Brandon Ayuk, in terms of Brock Purdy, have really good chemistry when Brandon Ayuk's healthy. He gets the ball and he throws it with anticipation because Again, throwing with anticipation. He throws with anticipation because he can't drive the ball consistently. So I think that's going to be a big thing for them in the Super Bowl, right? Like you're playing the Chiefs, and Coach Spagnuolo said, you know what, Justin Reed, we want you to spy him. Work down as a low hole defender in the second half. Keep him in the pocket. Make him throw from the pocket. We're going to play tight, sticky man-to-man coverage. It was only one man getting open in that entire game. That was Brandon Ayuk. You know who wasn't getting targeted? Brandon Ayuk. Like, you're throwing the guys that are blanketed. Like, so it's like decision-making against man coverage worries me in those situations, especially when he can't get out the pocket and extend the play. So Brock Purdy is a fine quarterback, good quarterback. He fits what Kyle Shanahan looks for and wants from his quarterback, right? A guy that he gives him more leeway to do things than a Kirk Cousins would have had and a Jimmy Garoppolo because he's more athletic. So he's going to allow him to create. But the stuff we saw RG3 do in Washington, right? Like not take the 5-yard check down and reverse field and throw a 60-yard touchdown. He doesn't want those things. Kyle Shanahan is the type of coach that cares about the process, not the result. So we're going to see how this season goes, especially with all the changes. With no, Ayuk may not start the season coming off the ACL. Yeah. Debo's in Washington, right? If Jawan Jennings is your best receiver and you're not to me, you better feed Ricky Pearsall. This is the year you need to be getting Ricky Pearsall heavily involved into the offense, Dan. I think it makes a lot of sense. When we talk about changes, there's a quarterback on this list that we're going to close this thing out with that's probably sitting there like, man, shout out to Les Snead. And that is Matthew Stafford. Like, Matthew Stafford. Let's talk about Stafford, man. I know he is ecstatic about the offense he's getting ready to throw into in 2025. Guys, 37 years old. To me, Hall of Famer. I don't even think it's a question for me. I want him in the Hall of Fame. One of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. One of my favorite quarterback prospects of all time coming out of Georgia. And, the 4 years, he took a team that Jared Goff was there and Sean McVay had, in a sense, hold his hand with play calling and audibles and all that type of stuff. They got to the Super Bowl. They couldn't win it. He said, we got to make a change at quarterback. And I think what is the first year? First year they win the Super Bowl, and coming off a season, Matthew Stafford has threw for 3,762 yards, 20 passing touchdowns in 16 games, 8 interceptions, 93.7 passer rating. He wasn't as efficient as we like to see. His completion percentage over expectation was a negative 1.4%. Yeah. His EPA was plus 17.4 though, right? He was only sacked 28 times, pressured only 169 times, but this was a guy that played good ball for the most part. And Dan, for me, I look at this situation and with him, outstanding football IQ, full command and control of the offense. If he comes, it's like those Peyton Manning years, Tom Brady years, Drew Brees, that wily veteran that comes to the line of scrimmage and sees what he sees and like, oh God, you guys are cooked. like, you know what I mean? Like if you're not changing, he's thinking in his mind, if you don't change out, all right, cool. I'm gonna snap this ball. If you're not out of this coverage, I know exactly where I'm going with that. That's the type of command and control he has. He can change protections, all those things. But it's even at 37 years old, his arm talent is still excellent, man. The rip throws, the sidearm, be able to lower the trajectory and the arm angle to get it around free running defenders or defensive linemen at the line of scrimmage. He still has it, man. You know, he's still got it, man. Matthew Stafford is still one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL.
It's so fun to watch him just kind of like rip a throw or just drop one in over someone. Like there's a scene throw to Cooper.
The throw again, I'm about to say, but not that one, but not to cut you. The throw in the snow against Philly in the playoffs. Like I think it was. I think I saw a tweet with somebody that posted that clip, and it was like, this was the moment I thought it was over for us. It was an Eagles. Yeah. It was an Eagles account, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was over for you too.
That's
I was like, wow.
They should have won that game. Honestly, Matthew Stafford's driving at the end of the game, and you have a couple of bad things happen, and it wasn't because of Stafford near the end.
Right.
It doesn't matter because like you talked about the arm talent, but wind, snow, none of that stuff
rain
matters.
It doesn't matter.
When you can do what he can with RPMs, it cuts through everything. And you saw that on full display in the NFC playoffs last year against the Eagles. Like it was so impressive. But there's multiple times where he'll just decide, okay, I see a window. Oh yeah, that's my window. No one's getting that window. And when he decides it, it's pretty much over. The one thing with Matthew Stafford, he was awful under pressure last year. We're talking negative 96.4 EPA. Negative 96.4 against pressure. That's bad. And that comes back to him not being able to create outside the pocket anymore. He's 37 years old. Even when he was at the peak of his powers, he couldn't do it. Like it was the limiting factor. He wasn't awful with Detroit. You would see him get outside, more take a hit and have guys fall off of him because he was a big guy. He's a little more svelte now with the Rams. He's not as big as he used to be because he's got to be able to move a little bit better. But the pocket presence, the micro movements within the pocket to give himself space, the different arm angles. You talk about football IQ. He's got it in spades. And you love the combination with him and Sean McVay. It's beautiful. That's why they went to get it. And then I like Jared Goff. I just got done watching quarterback the entire series, and that dude, he's boring as hell. But I like Jared Goff. But there is a reason that they went and got Matthew Stafford. It's because
absolutely
Jared Goff can only get you so far, and Matthew Stafford
he gets you to the hump. Matthew Stafford gets you over the hump.
Yeah, you talk about tractors versus trailers, right? You talk about it all the time. You win because of Matthew Stafford. Sometimes last year in the couple of years, the Lions have won because of Jared Goff. They can't win postseason games. Like this game against Washington last year, he didn't play well. He didn't play well. He against a bad defense. And you say
with a rookie quarterback styling and profiling across the field when he's on offense, you're the veteran that has all the weapons. Man, you put Jaden Daniels on that Lions offense, I think they will make the Super Bowl. Like I truly believe they do. You know what I mean? With Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson calling plays, the offensive line.
Just give me the offensive line.
The offensive line, man. Like then you got a legit run game with Sonic and Knuckles with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta. Like. Yeah, but again, I'm not saying you want to replace a Jared Goff. I'm just saying there's levels to this thing of playing quarterback in the next level, and you need to have answers against the blitz and against pressure. Period. And like you said with Stafford, he just last year wasn't great for him in a lot of ways, and it was Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper Kupp battled injuries last year. He wasn't the same guy. It was Puka Nacua and everything. Like it was a lot of things that went wrong. But this year, he's walking into an offense with Puka Nacua healthy, ready to go. You know what I mean? Heading into training camp, he's walking into an offense where they traded for Devontae Adams and everything. Now that's your 1-2 punch. You still have Kyron Williams. You drafted Blake Corum last year. Then you doubled down and drafted Jarquez Hunter this year. They also added, I believe it was Terrence Ferguson, the tight end out of Oregon.
Yeah.
They added him in like the second, third round of the draft. A little bit too high for me because he can't block to save his life, but he's an athletic playmaker, athletic guy that can run routes. You get him. He's one of those guys. I don't think he's a star, but I think he's the type of guy that with other players around him at receiver, he can absolutely cook. So Stafford, I think to me, Stafford's arrow is pointing up. I think he's going to have a better year than he had in 2024. I'm sorry. And you want to see him improve, especially against pressure, things like that. And I think Sean McVay and everybody else, they're going to make sure that this offense is a well-oiled machine, right? Offensive line should be better and more improved this year as well. If I remember correctly, they have enough reinforcements there. But Dan, you know, we talked about Stafford, Purdy, Murray, Darnold. How do you rank these 4 quarterbacks in the NFC West? From I guess least to best.
Okay, so it's no offense to Sam Darnold, but he's got to have more stability. He's going to be at the bottom of the rung, and I don't even think that's disrespectful to him. I think this is a very talented quarterback division, and number 3 is going to be Kyler Murray for me. Talent wise, I think he's number 1. Personally, I believe he's the most talented quarterback in the division. Unfortunately, like you said, it's not just the leaving you wanting more. It's the fact that we haven't really seen much progression from him. He's been the same guy for a long time. And that wins you games, but it's not getting you to the promised land.
Right.
For everything that you don't like about that you and I don't like about Brock Purdy, I love the work ethic. He's gotten better, and he did take more chances last year. Willingness to do so when it's not really your strength, even if you're going to have some bad moments with it.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that about Brock Purdy. And again, when we talk about anticipation, being the blitz and being as good as he is in those quick moments, it gives you something for me. So he's going to be my number 2 quarterback in the division. And then Matthew Stafford. We didn't talk about Matthew Stafford that much because there's not much to say. He's the best in the division. He's one of the best in the NFL. We all see it every Sunday when he plays. Go watch him against the Bills. He was just lighting guys up left and right, man. It's so much fun. So those are the guys for me.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Exact same order. I have Sam Darnold. And I think physically, you know, from a physical standpoint, and I said this when he was when he was in San Fran, you know, the other year. I said, man, I could see Kyle Shanahan working very well with Sam Darnold because the throws that Brock Purdy can't make, Sam Darnold can rip. So there's not been a level of consistency with him. Last year was a career year, but there's a reason it was a career year. We've never seen him play anywhere close to that specific level. Let's see if that, like I said, it felt like his career took a turning point in Carolina. I was at training camp that year for a couple of those days, and I was like, yeah, it's a legit battle between him and Baker Mayfield, right? So he's number 4. I have Kyler Murray at number 3 as well. I need more. I want more from Kyler Murray because I know he has more to give us. And if we can get that out of him, it's like having a fruit. And you're like, man, there's no way that's all of the juice. You squeeze the lemon. There's more.
It's like a lemon.
Yes.
We got to roll the lemon, guys. So Kyler Murray's got to roll the lemon. When you roll the lemon, if it's a hard lemon, you got to roll it.
You got to roll it, baby. You got to roll it. You can't just cut it and squeeze it or throw it into the. No, you got to roll it, man. Get the juices flowing, get everything going, and then you get the full benefits of the lemon. And I think that's what Kyler Murray is. He's a lemon that has not fully been rolled, so we can get the full benefits of it. So he's at number 3. Brock Purdy at number 2. Everybody thinks I hate Brock Purdy. He's just not my. Same thing with Bryce Young. I don't hate Bryce. I think they're both good quarterbacks. They're just not the guys I would change I wouldn't build my program or my franchise around. They're not my style quarterbacks, but I appreciate what they do in the offenses they're in and for the teams that they're on. And then number 1, like I said, Matthew Stafford, Hall of Famer. I don't care. You know, once you get that Super Bowl ring, Yeah, man, like he's the dude, and I think as long as he's healthy, I know he battled he's battled the back. I think he had like a ankle injury at some point last year. There might have been one other injury. He had a cracked rib, I think, last year as well. Yeah, it was a lot that happened, man. So as long as he's healthy and ready to go, yeah, Matthew Stafford, I think they're going back to the playoffs, and it's going to be a very strong, it's going to be a very anticipated battle with them and Commanders and the Eagles and whoever comes out of those other divisions for the supremacy to go to the Super Bowl in 2025, 2026, guys. But listen, that is our rankings for the NFC West quarterbacks. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully we've earned your like. Go ahead and comment. Let us know how you rank these quarterbacks in the comments. Let us know how you rank them. Go on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave us a 5-star commented review. Like, subscribe, share the channel. Hit the bell notification on YouTube as well. And we're gonna take a quick break from the quarterbacks. Training camp's about to start. We need to talk about some of these battles in training camp next week, Dan, that everybody needs to be paying attention to. Some of these young rookie quarterbacks, young rookie receivers. We're going to talk about some impact guys that you need to keep your eyes on heading into training camp for the 2025 NFL season. But as always, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for tapping in with your boys here on the Scouting Room NFL podcast with Dame and Dan. I'm Dame, and that's Dan.